Welcome to another episode of Stat and Scale. I'm Brandon Rellinger, and today we got a great episode. I just wrapped up with Jeff Garwood, who is the SVP of AI Strategy at the AI Factor Institute, and today we really dove into vibe coding. Now, I've done my fair share of vibe coding. I've done, of course, landing pages, which is easy, and some interactive tools like an ROI calculator and maturity assessments, and I've even done some mini apps just for my personal use on fantasy sports. But Jeff really dives into how to build a full-on app, and he even shows some of the stuff that he's built, but he walks us through everything from, okay, the concept to putting the PRD together with AI, to then getting it into, in this case we use Replit, but there's a lot of tools you can use out there, and then how to iterate, how to adjust, how to actually add on to it, and then even gets into some really great tips for troubleshooting, because honestly, if you've been knee deep in this stuff, or I should say neck deep in this, you know that half of this is just, it's debugging, it's kind of troubleshooting and figuring out why something isn't working the way you want it to work. So he gives us some great tips on that as well. And we actually start off the episode with something completely different. It's actually a really cool use of ChatGPT. He actually uses it to help him mediate discussions between him and, in this case, a CEO, but you can use it for anything. But I thought this was an awesome use case for ChatGPT that all marketers could use out there, because we are all used to dealing with these kind of insane requests from either your CMO or, oftentimes more than not, it's going to be your CEO, right? Anyway, this is a great episode. It's a little on the longer side than what we're used to, but it's all packed with amazing, highly actionable, highly tactical stuff for you. So with that said, without further ado, let's jump in. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Brandon. Awesome to be here. So,
Heck yeah. All right. So we usually only do one build per episode, but you actually have two awesome use cases, two things that we're going to go over today. One of them is really quick, but I think it's going to be useful for any marketer out there. Tell us how you're using ChatGPT to actually moderate discussions.
okay. So you know what? I know I've caught on some of your other shows. You like to do like what's a use of ChatGPT that's a little out of the norm, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because everybody keeps saying don't use it like Google, and you're like, yeah, okay, but what does that mean, right? What does it not using it like Google mean? Had an amazing experience recently with the founder of the AI Factor that I do the AI strategy work with, and entrepreneur, right? Entrepreneurs by percentage tend to have higher ADD rates, right? So we were trying to figure out how we're going to move the business a little bit, and we're going back and forth, and a normal conversation, you're stepping on each other a little bit, and like, just ping ponging it around a good bit. She literally took ChatGPT, stuck in voice mode in between us, and said, "We'll call him Jim." I don't remember what her ChatGPT guys named it, right? But it's like, Jim, you're going to sit here and you're going to moderate our discussion. You're going to listen to my side, then Jeff's side. Let me introduce you, Jeff. I introduce myself. Going back and forth. So you're going to listen to each side. You're going to summarize. You're going to think of the highlights, the what are the weaknesses. You're going to try to figure out how to bring those two into a coherent approach going forward. And then the next part was the important one was don't just yes us to death, right? Don't just go, yeah, that's a great idea, right? Like ChatGPT tends to do. It was like, be harsh, figure out where the weaknesses are, push back, right? It was an incredible experience because this is probably the thing that I found the most interesting was everybody was forced to listen for a block. Like you could get all your ideas out without interrupting, without being thrown off. So it's like the best of both. You could say a complete thought, it would capture it, then you go to the other person, and then you'd go back to kind of like okay, let's think it through a little. It was amazing. I never dreamed it could have been that effective. So it
No,
was just,
that's so smart. I love that, because I think probably everyone listening, whether they're the consultant, they're the CMO, or even anytime you got to work with a
I'm
strong
thinking of my kids
personality.
too. I might even do it with my kids one day. I'm not so sure, but we'll
Totally,
see. We'll see how
right?
that.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. But it's like anytime you don't see eye to eye, we're not trained, arbitrators and moderators, or mediators, I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, just bring ChatGPT in to be that third party, that objective view that can help you actually have a productive conversation. Because a lot of people, they just don't know how to have productive conversations. And the CEO can always pull the trump card. But
Yep.
now, when we're coming in, we're saying, okay, let's actually use ChatGPT as a mediator to help us
Yep.
find that common ground. I love that use case.
Yeah, I was shocked how well it worked. I mean, that's why my hopes for it were pretty low when she picked it up. I'm like, by the end of it, I'm like, wow, that was really
Yeah.
interesting. So,
How
uh,
did you approach it? Did you say, hey, you know what? Doesn't seem like we are really eye to eye here.
no,
Let's
it's just she's like, let's try it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, sure, sure, because after a half an hour of going round and round a little bit, and like half an idea would get out and it'd bounce around, and you're like, what was I? I was trying to. And some people, right? Some people, everybody, half the time you're thinking about what you're gonna say about the points 5 steps back,
yeah, exactly.
right? It really got rid of all that. It was, I not to say miraculous, but it was pretty darn amazing, right? So because it's capturing all those thoughts of like, oh, what else? Even at one point we're like, what did we talk about that we missed, right? What points do we need to explore more, right? I forgot what I said 10 minutes before, right? So it was spectacularly useful. That's all. I know I'm gushing about it, but it was one of those moments where I'm like, man, this is not Google, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love that. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. Let's get into some vibe coding. We haven't covered vibe
Vibe
coding
coding,
and no code, low code tools yet.
low
So
code.
tell us what you're going to show us.
Sure. So I'm going to walk you through kind of a few different views of some different tools to do some vibe coding and some low code stuff. I'll just say, let's just kind of get a little background. So what vibe coding is, it's really taking your ideas and generating code automatically from those ideas, but it's much more than that, right? It helps you ideate, refine, seeing what is possible. And most people don't, they say like, right, you'll see TikTok has 5,000 different views on this thing, right? Plus
Yeah.
much more. Some people are like, you got to do this giant PRD and blah, da, 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 which, that's great if you know exactly what it is, but you might have like a half an idea.
Yeah.
And as you're building, you're like, oh man, I like that part. Let's do this, right? So if it's more of like a live ideation that pretty much works, right? There's a lot of work to this stuff.
Yeah,
It's
most
not
people
like
may
what
have
I
never
say.
done a PRD before, right? Like, or
Oh yeah,
requirement docs, right? Like, some people don't even know that. They have never been on the product side or touched products at all, been a product marketer.
exactly.
They don't even know what that is.
And it's not wrong that having this awesome PRD, where you wrote down all your ideas and the constraints but half the time you're not entirely sure. You have this like the idea, and I'll show you one. I just like, hey, I'm going to build a networking app for myself. And literally by the time I was done with this thing, I'm like, I actually want to keep building this darn thing, right? It's actually, it was one of those, I'm like, what am I going to show you guys? And I'm like, let's do that. So before I jump in, so there is a world of products out there, right? There's I actually wrote down a whole little list of them. Everything from Lovable, Bolt, V0. You're gonna hear Cursor, um,
Windsurf,
Windsurf. It's all over the place, right?
yep.
So you got to find the tool that fits you. I'm not telling you. I'm going to show you a couple things, but you really got to find. And also, you got to know that there's some of these have serious cost implications if you do
Wind
things.
standpoint, yes, yes.
Yeah, I've used a lot of credits in some of these apps I've built, right? But the other side of it is you have to find the thing that matches your style too. So I haven't coded in 20 some years, right?
Yeah.
But I know coding enough that Replit was like right in the middle for me. It was a perfect sweet spot.
Yeah, good point.
Cursor, if you're a hardcore dev, people are all on the cursor and windsurf and all that.
Yep.
I tend to land right there.
And then
Bolt's getting better.
lovable is kind of on the even less code side.
Yeah,
No code background.
no cold side, exactly. So you got to kind of figure out what's good for you to get started, right? So I would almost say what you just said is start with some of those really easy ones first. Get a little comfortable that most of them have free tiers, and then work your way up to the ones that are more substantial.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the thing. The other one is like I'm gonna say, let me bring up my thing, and I'll make a couple other points while
Okay,
we're
cool.
doing
Yeah.
the show and tell or something. one quick
Yeah,
second.
Lovable is where I started. Lovable and Claude is where I started. So I haven't dove too much into Replit yet, although
Yeah,
I've
and
run just a
Claude
little
is
bit.
amazing.
Yeah.
The only thing, like, I love Bolt. One thing, you got to watch some of these tools. I don't mean to pick on Bolt. They're coming out with a new version, but some of these apps have very hard caps on how big the project can get. So, like, my project was very big. I didn't realize I was going to hit that cap so hard. But they're coming out with a new version, so we'll see. I just got to notice they're releasing a Bolt 2.0 or something that's they're coming. So keep an eye out for that too. Anyway, everybody's leapfrogging each other. Tools are evolving like crazy.
Amen. That's right.
So let me show you a quick thing. What I was like. Okay, what am I going to show Brandon and the crew on this call? Right? I'm like, what could everybody probably use? A little networking app, right? How do I? Because I don't know if any of us do that enough. I know I should do more, right? Just
Yeah, you can always do more, especially these days. I think that's going to be an advantage for you going forward as just an employee, and if you're going solo, it's about your network, you know. So anyway,
exactly
yeah,
that, and that's it's those random connections have helped me over every year I've ever had. I literally just had something happen this week. I had never dreamed that I would get a referral in from somebody from way back.
yeah,
So yeah, there's that long list, but it would be nice to keep nurturing that, right? Be more proactive about that. So I'm like, all right, what can I show you this? So what I started was I said, let's start simple. Let's just go ChatGPT. So I took ChatGPT, I put a script, a little prompt in saying, yeah, give me this thing, does reach outs. Would come from LinkedIn right now. It's hard to get data out of LinkedIn without scraping tools.
yeah,
I said, let's just do something where I can track it and nudge myself to do that. So it did that, gave me a little template, empty template. It built out this thing and it gave me this app. I'm like, okay, great. And I launched it. And this is what it looked like, right?
okay,
Like, okay, Originally it had a blank CSV file that I could upload. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to be a pain in the neck to type out like a whole bunch of sample data. I'm like, you give me sample data.
yeah. I love that.
Right. So I turned to ChatGPT and said, give me some sample data. Give me 30. I asked it for 30. And I said, make it a little diverse across industry and location. And it, gave me all these 555 phone numbers, which is cool, right? So it knew enough to make it test data,
Yep.
which is awesome, and all these example.com test datas.
Nice.
And then I could go test it real quick. So Busy was here. I'm like, okay, let me try uploading it. And loaded 30 contacts. Voila. So I got this. It tries to give me a short list of a daily pick and why. Like, that's pretty cool, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. I'm like, you know what, though? I had a feeling and I knew Replit could do better. So I literally took that same. Let me talk about. I'll show you that in a second. So I took Replit and I put that exact same prompt in. And I clicked and said it had a little magic, like fix my prompt a bit,
Yeah.
give me a better prompt. Clicked that, and literally in 10 minutes, I had this,
Mm.
where it had contacts, and I'll show you what it looks like and analytics, and a thing to import, and settings to control everything in 10 minutes, right? So I said, oh, let me try with that new.
Also,
Oh,
doesn't look like it was built in 1999. You know.
exactly. And it can you keep refining the view on this. So the other thing one thing I did though was I did hand it that CSV file and said, hey, I want to be able to upload those contacts also.
Oh, it's even got drag and drop. Look at that.
Yep, drag and drop. So let me go move my same file in here real quick. That was that one. So let's import the contacts, and it imports the contacts, and voila, I have my 30 contacts. So now I have those same 30 contacts, and I just said, I wanted to compare for ChatGPT, so I said, make your import the same as this, that import. So now I'm able to put all my contacts in here, who responded, to give you you can see all those, right? Follow-ups, what I got, I don't have any yet, but
Yeah.
on my dashboard, so what I should be doing, I should be contacting them. What should I contact them about? Oh, new topic hints. They're a Salesforce person. Blah, 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 take notes, right? So cool part was in 10 minutes, I was able to basically make this with all the the analytics of who's been contacted, and it's crazy, right? That you can get it that far. The one thing I caught was though, it did have a database. So I took another 10 minutes and said, okay, put a real database behind it where I want to have, actually, I got to
And you're
refresh.
just chatting with this on the left there, and you say,
Yep.
okay, yeah,
So I basically was like, I want to do these new contacts. So these are the contacts I imported that are now in a real database in the back, right? So literally, this is the entire, to build this whole thing, this is the entirety of the thread.
no way, wow,
Yeah, way, right? So it's that's what I said. But there's times I will warn you. It's amazing. It's amazing. I hate it, and then it's amazing, amazing, amazing,
yeah,
right? So it'll do things that will just drive you insane. But the thing of it is, even from a year ago to this year, I'm gonna go so I can see you for a second while I'm talking. So between a year ago and what it is now, as Claude's progressed and as the tooling's progressed, it's already an astronomical increase of how good this is getting.
yeah,
What it's going to be in a year. So that's what I'm saying. If people just my thing, I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to tell you at the end. Just give it a try. Get used to it because it's going to be so good in 2 years. It's going to be just astounding, right? You're going to say, "Hey, I don't quite want that. I want it to be more this," and I know I'm overplaying it, but not by much. Where I've seen it go already
yeah.
is
I know it's been said out there, but basically the thought is this is the worst version of AI you're ever going to have because it's only going to get
exactly.
better, which is kind of crazy to think that something as amazing as this is the worst thing we're ever going to use, you know?
So true. So true. So, the one thing, so I'll give you a couple points. And I'm working on a webinar and an actual mini class on low
Oh,
code
nice.
stuff.
Okay, we'll
So
have to
keep
link
an eye
that
on
up.
my LinkedIn for that at some point. But
Yeah.
um, it's not, what was my line I thought of the other day? It's not, this low code stuff's not Jiffy Pop. You don't put your PRD on the stove and like walk away and hope for magic, right? Your app just magically pops out.
Yeah.
It actually is a lot of work when you really want to build a real app, right? It's going to take some real focus, but what you can do on your own
Yeah.
is amazing, right?
Any tips for prompting Replit or using any of these for when you need to
Yeah,
make an adjustment to it, or even tips for troubleshooting if something's not working, you can't get it to work right? Is
this is a multi-hour discussion, but what I'll say is I'll give you a couple quick tips here, which is you want to be very precise. I love Nate Jones, one of my favorite other AI people. Oh, I'm going to give you a list of people to follow too at the end of
perfect.
this.
Yep. Yeah.
And Nate Jones, one he actually uses this term. It's like you have to very precise language. So I've caught myself backspacing many times where I'm like, maybe we should, right? Like, no, 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 maybe, no, maybe, right? Yeah, we should examine our what are the possible ways we could solve this, right? Or let's focus on solving this. Or I'm seeing this behavior. Let's investigate. Give me a couple plans or analysis before you change anything.
Yes.
That's one. The other big one I'll say, just like number one survival thing. I know it's going to sound absolutely crazy. Get Snagit or one of those full page image capture. Take pictures. Every once in a while, your app is like, oh, I love the way it's laying out and I love all this stuff. Take a picture because you may never get it back. It can go south.
Ooh.
But if you have a picture, you can. I had many times I've had to guide it back to what it was. It's
Oh.
like,
Oh
hey, I think it'd be a great idea to do this for you. I'm like, no, right? So you can literally hand it the
Maybe.
picture and go say, smack it and say, go back to this. I want this again.
Well, does it
Um,
not have version control?
well, kind of, yeah,
Kind
but
of.
not to that level,
Not to that.
right?
Okay.
It's not going to unwind at a micro level to that far. It might have snapped it 10, 30 changes back and did a git commit. But between then and these tools are not where they're micro
I see.
change tracking. You can't say I want to roll back, roll back, roll back. No, it's going to be like roll back, and I pray what all the
Hopefully.
goodness you just did got caught in that last rollback, right?
Yeah, I thought you were
Um,
going something else with that, somewhere else with the screen capture Snagit part. But yeah, that's a great idea. I never even really thought of, yeah, just
I'm
with version control, screenshotting what it
just
actually looks like. because I use
Just
it all the
want
time for like helping. Like I want you to build it like this functionality in Brex. I can't describe it. I'm just gonna copy it
right. Yep.
and then say this little piece of it, build it like this part of
Yep.
the screenshot, and then it does it really well.
Yeah, and I haven't seen a tool other than Snagit. If somebody's got some suggestion, I'd love to hear it. But I use that mostly. So that's a big one. So a couple quick tips are just
Yep.
be very specific about your language, right? Like think about it as you don't want to be wishy washy. You don't want to over direct either, because it will do things that like I wouldn't have come up with that interface. I would have done a terrible job of coming up with that interface, right? It did a better job on the first. Now I can say this is what I was saying. If I would have written my PRD so tight, it would have been half of that. Like the tools are smart enough. They're like, let me give you. I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, actually, I don't want that. I'm gonna get rid of this. But that gave me like 5 new ideas. I really like that. I'm gonna go this way, right? So it really is an iterative design process, and that's what I love. It. So this is kind of the trade off, right? You say, I'm gonna throw one out for you. Like some people are like, you do this, you pay somebody on Fiverr to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like by the time I tried it, right? By the time, and I'm sure for some things it's great, but I didn't exactly. I know what I kind of wanted, but I didn't exactly know what I wanted. Right? I had to feel for the vibe of what I wanted. I couldn't write that down and go back and forth to somebody overseas 37 times, see the change the next morning, see what it looked like, go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Don't like that, right? I could literally sit here and go, wow, I really like the way this feels as a user, like what I'd like to have it be, like, or I'd like to give them that experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to do in 97 turns back and forth,
Exactly.
right? Yeah, so at some point you might need to hand it to a developer for extra hardening or extra whatever, right? But I'll throw out another like heretical thing maybe,
Yeah.
because I do work in enterprise software too, right? So, however, I'm not so sure if I paid somebody to go build some of the stuff that I've built, it would come back with more quality or more reliability or more security. I'm not so convinced, right?
Mm.
Unless I have a team of 10 people that are 5 people sitting there doing code reviews and going through it, right? If I'm paying somebody overseas to, for whatever, I'm not so sure it's going to be that much better.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
We're
And
better.
you
We're
got
better.
you
We're
got
better. I know that's the heretical part. We're
yep.
right.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
sure
okay,
we're gonna
you
get.
bring up a good point though with security. Talk to me about how you think about um, giving tools like this sensitive
Yep.
data. What kind of
Yep.
data are you good with, or do you draw the line anywhere?
Well, so there's the I'll make a distinction between like legal data, like HIPAA or regulatory financial
Sure. Yeah.
regulatory data,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
You can always have to abide by those kind of. But as far as the app itself, what I could show you is within Replit, you keep your keys in secrets, just like you would any other application, right? They're encrypted secrets. This came out maybe like a few months ago. So one thing I would do, you can do a security scanner within Replit. It literally scans your code for this tool called SemGrip. So what I would do every so often, I is another tip on what I do. Every once in a while, I'll be like, okay, it's Thursday. Let's pause for a minute and stop building. Let's do a full review of the application. Let's look for TypeScript errors, security gaps. Let's look for programmatic. Is there any, clear case? Because it builds scripts sometimes in the background. Did you build any scripts where you embedded like hard coded stuff? So I do like a cleanup pass every once in a while. I'm like, you know what? Let's clean this up, run a security scan. So as I'm building, it's pretty darn solid, right? Now, I'm not going to put like, my I don't know. At a certain point, you got to figure out where you need like hardcore heavy duty horsepower. But most
Yep.
things that I think your audience would be building, I don't know that you need like a worm read only database that has like 37 levels of encryption, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Not so like so that's what I'm saying. You got to figure out. But for this giant class of productivity apps that people could be building for themselves, or even customer apps. There's a huge potential for this stuff, right? Or maybe it's in your first, I think I deal a lot with entrepreneurs too, right? Maybe those first couple phases of launch and doing the customer validation and really trying out your idea and just this is a perfect place to start, right? You can build all that stuff. It's got the database in the back end. You can add the security. Um, so, so yeah, I think that's the like anything. It's got trade offs, but then it gets tricky, right? When you're going to really scale, when some of these LLMs, if they see too much traffic coming from one site, they cap you. So you almost have to spin multiple endpoints with multiple accounts and then round robin it. And yeah, so I mean, when you get if you're that lucky where it's you need that, then you could bring in some people to help you get that right.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Good problem to have.
So yeah, exactly. So let me show you a little bit more while I'm
Oh
thinking out here.
yes, for sure.
So that was our cool little network example in 10 minutes. So this is an example of something that took months, right? So basically, I
Yes. Yes.
I work with my founder who wrote this book, The AI Factor, and I basically created a workbench to help turn that into a assessment process for customers. And I'm not going to walk through it completely. I'm just going to kind of give you a quick tour. So I was able to build out this, which basically I collect a whole bunch of demographics about the customer. They do this thing that's in the book. It's called the Power Quadrant. So they basically rate their self on some. Are you basically an innovator, multiplier? So they mean different things, right? I'm just worried about controlling costs. I'm doubling down on tackling new markets. I'm extending my business, or I'm uh, scaling, kind of like replicating my business. So they can do that real time. So as just as you'll see, it's like this is all like zero, no code too.
Yeah. Oh,
So
nice. I like it.
building that, and then I had a great question. This is another like question from a customer, and I'm like, I went home and at night I built the next one. They said, well, what if that's not what I want to be? That's what I am, right? I want to be less optimizer. I want to double down on what it means to be an innovator, right? I want to shift my business.
Oh,
And that totally
there
changes
you go.
the analysis,
Yeah.
which all these things I have basically AI running in the back where I rerun the analysis.
Amazing.
Um, and then I'll show you just a couple more things and then some bigger picture stuff. So I basically built out, for everybody familiar with Lean Canvas, right?
Yeah.
This took me a couple days. I did a lean canvas, and if you didn't know what your business, actually, let's use this one. I wasn't going to, but let me see. Oh, sorry, let me hit load. So if you had that, I gotta let me see if I got it more. Yeah, so you don't know what to do for a lean canvas. You never really gone through that. Like my favorite one's unfair advantage, right? This is
Yeah.
like my favorite block. We can take all the demographic information, everything we know about you, and everything you've put in those prior steps, and at least give you a starting point. Now, we're going to be right. Yeah, we might be 80% right, maybe, but at least we'll help give you a place to start
Hmm.
editing your lean canvas, right? Where you can kind of go through and say, no, no, no. And then that drives the other parts of the analysis. So it did the traditional, business model canvas as
Yeah.
well. So, more established business model canvas, startup lean canvas,
So is
and a
this
similar thing
does
for.
it do you give your clients access to this, or does it like spit
Yeah,
out like a PDF that you can
it's
send to them?
both. So right
Oh,
now we
both.
do it as part of a consulting engagement. They get access to do this because it's a lot of also. It's not just click the tool and it gives you magic answers, right? We have to think through a lot of things with them.
And I know since
Um,
it's still hosted on Replit, you could probably easily just put it on your own site or.
oh yeah. So basically, this is the undeployed. I got a deployed version
Oh, oh, I
here,
see. Okay.
right?
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
So I have a deployed version, and then that they get access to through the URL. And this is the part that took a lot of some things that I'm not going to go through too much, but I have a full like embeddings environment in here where you create a RAG database in the back. So in Replit, creating an entire vector store where I uploaded the book and I uploaded all that stuff. When I do the AI, it actually reads that. This is some of the stuff that took the longest time and didn't exist. I just came up with it, right? It was like I needed user management where I wanted to have different types of users depending on what types of things we wanted to give them access to. There's roles where depending on their, are you an intro work, what do you actually get access to as far as pages, right? So doing that. This is another big tip. Um, having secrets hidden is great. Your passwords and all that stuff to your LLMs. If your app uses AI gets very expensive very fast, right? And different models particularly. So what I had to come up with was a token usage dashboard that basically looks at what the usage of the users was actually doing. But then more importantly, I came up with a quota management system where depending on your role, each role gets a certain amount of quota per day per month, and none of this existed, right? This is just
Yeah.
I was like, what do I need to cap that if somebody's on my system, they're not just going to use it like free ChatGPT and drive me into the ground,
Yeah,
right?
really rack up your costs fast.
Right, and I don't want them clicking, run out analysis ninth, or if the thing goes haywire and it starts running, right, something goes wrong. I don't want it like racking up, wiping out my cap of tokens on any of these providers. So those are kind of the things when you actually build it to scale more, you have to start thinking about like how to.
Yeah, and I love that you could just yeah throw it in a
Um,
notebook, build it, deploy it, quick and easy
so
as that.
now, so the little I know I've got a lot of stuff on this one, but I can show you a couple other quick ones. So
Yeah.
what I needed to do was we needed a site for like lead gen. I'll
Yep.
admit
Yep.
on the website, which we're changing the link, so it'll be that the AI factor.ai. But I basically went back into Replit and said, give me a spec just for the current state and future state as a PRD, right?
Yep.
Just for those two that I can drop out. And what I did, I took that and then I went into ChatGPT and I said, build me that. And this took a while, right? And ChatGPT
Just
it's
walk you through
gotten
the process.
better,
Yep.
but ChatGPT is still very frustrating, like compared to Replit. It took me 5 times longer than I thought in ChatGPT, but I was able to use ChatGPT. I thought,
There you
let's
go.
try it. And actually, I did it half to show you for this, right? I wanted to see if ChatGPT alone could do it.
Yeah. Yep.
So I built a standalone thing where you're like, okay, this is a standalone encapsulated web page, HTML,
Working interactive.
working interactive. You
Yeah.
still
And
get
you get
your,
the PDF there still at the
you,
bottom.
you,
I like it.
yeah, you can download your PDF. So now, if you want to do that, so now we have a unintegrated lead gen version, which is, hey, you want to take your Power Quadrant rating? Go click here, check it out. You find it interesting, come back for more, right? So again, it took me 4 hours, maybe,
Mm.
right? To basically move from there to there.
Yep.
I consider not bad at all, right? It was
No.
like,
No. Yeah.
if I had to send it over, like I said, if I had to send it to someone, I'd spend 10 hours going back and forth and like, hey, I don't like this, a little bit of that. Like, first version, I had this horrible, bright red, giant download PDF thing, right? those stupid little things, but you want it to have the feel that you want, right? So, anyway, so that's why. And then, it was like, this was just literally this morning, I just saw this stitch with google.com, right? So this is the kicker, right? The tools, you could spend your whole life chasing tools, right? But this
You
is
really
kind of
could.
cool.
I've just in general been impressed with a lot of the stuff Google's coming out recently, whether
Oh
it's
yeah.
they made the Nano Banana or
Oh
Web
yeah.
three or like even some. I'm always discovering some little thing that they've had, like Google has Storybook, so
Oh yeah, yeah. Off geez, oh my god, I use it too. I'm drawing a blank. The oh come on, the not the workman. What do they have? They have
Studio.
their no. It'll come to me in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Notebook LM. the Notebook
Yeah,
LM.
Notebook LM. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. I use that thing
The
all the
Notebook
time.
LM where you can do the podcast, and now they have all kinds of new stuff in there too. That's amazing, right?
And quizzes. Yeah, yeah. And not saying that just because Megan works at Google, because I've got some stock in Google that I'm still
Nice, nice.
working on, you know. But no, yeah, I've been really impressed with Google lately.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And then Claude's amazing for coding. So I think what's happening is each of that's where the tricky part is right now, and it's good in a way, but it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah,
Each of them has a strength, right? And they're all leapfrogging each other every other day, right? So I guess what I'm saying at some point, like I'll go back to the advice I was started with, is like just try some of this out, and they're all converging and they're all one upping each other, and
yeah,
but
yeah.
just getting comfortable being unsure where it's going tomorrow, right? Knowing it's going to probably get better and better yet, right?
Exactly, exactly. Well, I actually have to run in a few minutes. I lost track of time because I could talk to you about this stuff all day. Let's go to rapid fire real quick, and then
Sure,
we'll
sure.
we'll get you out of here, and I'll get to. Hopefully, it won't be too late to my next one. Okay, what's your main AI tech stack right now?
Main AI tech stack. So Replit, obviously. I do use every LLM. So ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Notebook LM. I basically am all over every version and variant of that just because
Right.
of what I do.
Yeah.
I'll go quick. I do love Perplexity Comet. I got access to I do really like Perplexity Comet and Perplexity in and of itself. N8N with Slack. So I've done some stuff to basically go through my mail and all that, but ChatGPT's doing it. They're all starting to do it, but I
Yeah.
still, N8N's very solid for that stuff. So every morning I get my what do I need to keep an eye on summary I wrote for out of my calendar and my Gmail right through N8N. So that's a lot of fun. I I didn't realize I needed so much Notion. I am all in on Notion. I do not know how I stayed organized before. I had other tools that were similar, but it's everything I had wished for in a projects and tasks and ideas, and like even for this show I've like created a project, you know Brandon's podcast, that I put all my thoughts and just kind of brainstormed and put links, and I'm like, what do I want to show them, right? um
Yeah, I really like what
and
they're
make
doing with the. I feel like they were one of the earlier ones integrating AI into their.
Yeah.
What would you consider them? Yeah, not just
There's a few of them. What's it? Oh God, today, or what's the other
Monday,
similar app? Monday. Yeah,
Monday,
like Monday.
Airtable too. I think Airtable does a pretty good job, but I'm
Airtable.
more of a Notion guy
Quip
myself.
was trying to be this, right? But I think Notion. I haven't tried the others other than Quip, but Notion. I'm all in on Notion. And then what's the other couple? Just really quick, like Gamma for
Yeah,
slides. I
Emma.
really like. And then I've just started playing with like Webflow for site creation, but that's kind of, I'd say, the list I have bookmark lists that just go on and on, but that's kind of like what
The main
if you
one.
do the most active ones, those are the most active ones.
Tell us
Oh,
where. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I almost forgot. I know it's a silly thing, but if anybody wants to send a note and do, where is it? There's a, like, refer a friend. I can always refer a friend on Replit and get a
On Replit. Oh
couple
yeah,
free credit. So anybody wants to ping me for a referral, I'm happy to do
yeah. We'll
that
put
too.
we'll put that in the show notes.
I know, silly. I'm just being silly. All
Cool.
right, so you had one more before we wrap here.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you go to keep up with the latest in AI? Who do you follow? What blog? What
Yeah,
YouTube video? Where do you go?
it's very hard. Very hard. So I do have a list. I'm going to give you a G sheet, a public G sheet that I
Okay.
wrote down who I follow. I mean, the ones I love: Next Week in AI, Last Week in AI.
I don't know
There's
those.
a bunch of podcasts that I follow. I
I
think for
definitely want
the
the podcast list because I'm a big podcast guy myself.
podcast list, Nate Jones on Substack, I pay. He's amazing. Nate has the most in-depth, insightful stuff that I see. And then you see people like Sabrina Romanoff and all these others. There's some really good ones out there. Connor Greenan, I think his name. There's a lot of really good people out on TikTok, particularly. I TikTok goes away, I'm in trouble because literally my early warning system for what's coming out, and even that sketch thing I sketched with, I show you,
Yeah.
I get those from TikTok, right? I'm like, I follow way too many people, and I'll get random things on the leading edge. But then, so it's kind of like, last week in AI, and those are more like very solid analysis, Nate for in-depth stuff. And then TikTok is,
Your feed is all AI right now.
what's going on at the fringes, right?
Yeah, yeah, cool. Love it. Well, Jeff, thanks for coming on. Where can people connect with you, learn more about what you're doing, work with you?
LinkedIn is my best one, so just we'll give you my LinkedIn link. Always happy to have a chat with people. They could always throw some time on my calendar too if they just want to chat. So,
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining me on Second Skill, Jeff.
no, thanks. Keep up the good work there, Brandon. This is a great series. Thank you.
Cool. Bye. Okay.